My name is Sarah Vaughn. My book is Tunnels. It's by Roderick Gordon and Brian Williams. It's about a boy, and his name is Will Burroughs, and he loves digging in the dirt. And one day his father disappears. So he goes looking for him, can't find him anywhere. And his mother is sort of absent, and he's got this really freaky, bossy sister. So he goes into his dad's study, where basically nobody else goes, and he discovers a hole in the wall. So he and his best friend go down the hole, and they discover a whole other world where these people called the Sticks live. And they're basically evil, and they want to take over the whole world. And they're formulating a vaccine to kill all the humans. So he and his friend go looking for his father without trying to not be caught by the Sticks. And there are all kinds of crazy animals and other sort of human-like people, and it's a whole other world. Obviously it's fantasy, and it's like non-stop action. I couldn't put it down. It took me like just a few hours, seriously, to read this whole thing, like reading every word. The pickaxe hit the wall of earth, and sparking an unseen shot of flint sank deep into the clay, coming to a sudden halt with a dull thud. "This could be it, Will." Dr. Burroughs crawled forward into the cramped tunnel. Sweating and breathing heavily in the confined space, he began feverishly clawing at the dirt. They just go deeper and deeper into the earth, and it's almost like Star Trek, you know? They keep discovering other worlds and other, you know, cool things. I mean, it's set in modern times, definitely. England, which I like. So, you know, you can read it and imagine the characters with British accents and everything. His breath clouded in the damp air, under the combined glare of their helmet lamps. Each greedy handful revealed more of the old wooden planking beneath, exposing its tar-coated grain and splintery surface. I guess it's almost sort of a mystery too, because, you know, he's looking for his dad and trying to figure out all this weird stuff that's going on, so. "Pass me the crowbar." Will rummaged in his satchel, found the stubby blue crowbar, and handed it to his father, whose gaze was fixed on the area of wood before him. I wouldn't be intimidated by the size. I mean, if you're like, whoa, that's a thick book, but there's pictures, you know. It actually is the first book in a series. So far there are 3. There's this one, and then there's Deeper, which, again, don't be intimidated by the size. This is easy if you get into it. And then there's Free Fall. And I would say the only thing I dislike about these books, the only thing is that they are major cliffhangers. You finish one and it's like, oh my goodness, I gotta get the next one, you know? I believe in the second book there's a character introduced who's not the main character, but I got really attached to for some reason. And then at the end of the book, he disappears. And you know, that's one of the reasons it's such a cliffhanger, you know, because people will disappear, and but it's really great, and I love it a lot. Will recoiled slightly as a clammy breeze bled from the ominous gap Dr. Burroughs had created.
I'm a really fast reader, so it took me about a week. I'm usually reading about 3 at a time, so. It's The Wolves of the Beyond Shadow Wolf. It's by Catherine Lasky. It's about a wolf named Fallon who was raised by a bear, and pretty much there's a wolf that's out to get him in this pack that he's joined. So pretty much it's about him trying to live in the pack without being chased out because of this wolf. I really like it because it's about animals and because it's about wolves, and they're my favorite animals, and I really like fantasy. Beyond the owl world of Ga'Hoole, a wolf named Fallon has made it back to his clan. He was born with a twisted paw and cast out as a pup, abandoned in the forest to die. His name is Fallon, and he was a Malkadak, which is basically a wolf that was born with a problem, physically, or if they're born too early. And he was born with a splayed paw, so he had a lot of trouble walking. But his milk giver, Thunderheart the bear, actually taught him to make it really strong. So he knows how to walk on his hind legs and jump really far. But with the help of a grizzly bear who raised him as her own, Fallon survived. Now he's a gnaw wolf, the lowest ranking pack member. His twisted paw marks him as an outsider, destined to eat last. He is a gnaw wolf now. Since he lived, he was sent out to die as a pup because he had a problem with his paw. So when he lived, he got to come back to the pack as a gnaw wolf, who pretty much gnaws stories into bones. And so this wolf Heap, the one who's out to get him, has pretty much no talent whatsoever with gnawing, so he's really jealous, so he's trying to get him out of the story. It's a really good book for animal lovers, and that it's really, really exciting, and you always have to kind of wonder what's going to happen next. And the hardships are just beginning. A wolf pup is murdered, and Fallon is framed for the crime. Fallon's survival is once again on the line. I'm Carabeth Cartwright, and I'm 11.
Whatever you do, don't ask Greg Heffley how he spent his summer vacation, because he definitely doesn't want to talk about it. My name is Joshua Tipton. This is a Diary of a Wimpy Kid, Roger Rules. It's the second book in the series. It's about this kid named Gregory. His big brother's getting him all the time. It says his brother Roderick got hold of his first diary he wrote, and like his brother's making him do all this stuff, or everything in this diary he's gonna tell to everyone else. As Greg enters the new school year, he eager to put the past 3 months behind him, and one event in particular. Just like one time in the book where he and his friends have this party, they lock Gregory down in the basement. And when he finally gets back up, the whole place is a mess. Roderick tells him to help him clean up, or he'll tell the truth to the world. Once Roderick tells everyone mistakes it to think that Gregory broke into the girls' locker room. Gregory's trying to get costumes. One time he had 2 hats. He had a hat with a thing facing this way and one was facing this way, and he said he was a cowboy. And he wrapped himself around in toilet paper, called himself a toilet paper mummy. I read four of the books of the series of Diary of Wimpy Kid. What I'm waiting to get is the 5th book called The Ugly Truth. Unfortunately for Greg, his older brother Roderick knows about the incident. Greg wants to keep under wraps, but secrets have a way of getting out, especially when a diary is involved.
Percy Jackson, the main character, is a half-blood, which means he's half human and half god. His father is Poseidon, and he goes to this camp half-blood, and there's this rivalry between Zeus and Poseidon, his father, because Poseidon is accused of stealing the lightning bolt using Percy. And basically Percy has to go on a quest to the underworld to try to find the bolt and return it to Olympus before the solstice, because then there will be war, and that will not be good. Percy Jackson is about to be kicked out of boarding school again, and that's the least of his troubles. Lately, mythological monsters and gods of Mount Olympus seem to be walking straight out of the pages of Percy's Greek mythology textbook and into his life. Well, there's so much adventure, it seems like once it gets going, it's one thrill ride after another. Also, it's told in like the way that like a kid his age would say it too. Now, Percy and his friends have just 10 days to find and return Zeus's stolen property and bring a peace to a warring Mount Olympus. There's 5 books in the series. There's The Lightning Thief, The Sea of Monsters, Titan's Curse, Battle of the Labyrinth, and The Last Olympian. I'm just about to start The Titan's Curse for the 7th time. That's the 3rd one. Believe it or not, yes, I do get something different out of it every time I read it. Sometimes my mind like picks up on one part of it more than the others, and plus, once you've read it multiple times, you can see the ending coming and see, okay, where did the hints start coming on? Turns out pretty early.
My name's Rebecca Nicewarner and I'm 14. My book's name is Life as We Knew It, and it's by Susan Beth Peffer. It's about what happens when an asteroid, comet, whatever, hits the moon, and that happens every day, practically, except for this one's a bit larger and knocks it into closer orbit with the Earth. You could see how excited they were when this asteroid was going to make a direct hit on the moon. They had charts and computer projects and graphics, but basically they looked like big kids at Christmas. The main character's name is Miranda. She has an older brother, Matt, and once the moon gets in closer orbit, they knock out all the satellites, therefore they can't talk to each other anymore. Mom had gotten out Matt's telescope and she found the really good pair of binoculars that had somehow hidden themselves last summer. She even baked chocolate chip cookies for the event, so we carried out a plate and napkins. We decided to watch from the road since we figured we'd have a better view from up front. Miranda likes skating and ice skating, and her mom, she twisted her ankle 3 years back so she couldn't skate, and she wants to now, but her mom said no, and her mom and Miranda fight a lot. When it got closer to 9:30, things got really quiet. You could sense how we were all craning our necks, looking towards the sky. Johnny was at the telescope, and he was the first one who shouted that the asteroid was coming. He could see it in the night sky, then we all could, the biggest shooting star you could imagine. And so that creates problems with volcanoes flowing more rapidly and easily. And so the volcano knocks dust into the air and makes the temperature of the Earth colder than usual. It was a lot smaller than the moon, but bigger than anything else I've ever seen in the sky. It looked like it was blazing, and we all cheered when we saw it. For a moment I thought about all the people throughout history who saw Halley's Comet and didn't know what it was. Just that it was there and frightening and awe-inspiring. For the briefest flick of a second, I could have been a 16-year-old in the Middle Ages looking up at the sky, marveling at its mysteries, or an Aztec or an Apache. For that tiny instant, I was every 16-year-old in history.